Mikal Deen Mahdi, A Chronicle of Crime and Punishment. Some crimes echo through the years, leaving a stain on the very fabric of society. The case of Mikal Deen Mahdi is one such chilling tale, a descent into darkness marked by violence, desperation, and ultimately, the long arm of the law. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Mikal Deen Mahdi was born on March 20, 1983, in Virginia. His name is now synonymous with a brutal crime spree that terrorized multiple states. He stands as a convicted murderer, currently residing on death row in South Carolina. His story is a grim reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked violence. The events that led to his incarceration unfolded rapidly in July 2004. This multi-state crime spree would forever alter the lives of countless individuals. The summer of 2004 marked the beginning of Mahdi's descent into irreversible darkness. His actions would leave a trail of devastation and loss in their wake. It began with a series of thefts, small acts that foreshadowed the horrors to come. Mahdi stole a pistol, a station wagon, and license plates from his unsuspecting neighbor. These stolen items became the tools of his escalating crimes. They provided him with the means to travel and inflict harm. The first life claim during Mahdi's spree was that of Christopher Boggs. This act of violence marked a turning point, solidifying Mahdi's path as a murderer. Boggs was shot in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a senseless act of brutality. Mahdi's motive was robbery, an attempt to steal money from the cash register. After the shooting, Mahdi fled the scene, leaving Boggs to die. He continued his journey south, leaving a trail of fear and uncertainty. Just 2 days later, Mahdi's violence escalated with the murder of James Edward Myers. This crime was even more heinous, marked by extreme brutality and disregard for human life. Mahdi carjacked Corey Pitts in Columbia, South Carolina, further demonstrating his escalating desperation. He then sought refuge on Myers's farm in Calhoun County. There, he ambushed Myers, shooting him 9 times in cold blood. To conceal his crime, Mahdi burned Myers's body, a gruesome act of depravity. He then stole Myers's firearms and truck, continuing his flight from justice. The murder of James Edward Myers solidified Mahdi's image as a cold-blooded killer. The murder sparked a massive manhunt involving multiple law enforcement agencies. The urgency to apprehend Mahdi grew with each passing hour. The police investigation quickly linked Mahdi to Myers's murder. The evidence mounted, painting a clear picture of his involvement in the crime. The FBI joined the manhunt, bringing their resources and expertise to the case. The nationwide search intensified, closing in on Mahdi's location. Mahdi was finally apprehended in Florida on July 21, 2004. His reign of terror had come to an end, but the consequences of his actions were far from over. He was extradited to South Carolina to face justice for his crimes. The legal process would be long and arduous, but the wheels of justice had begun to turn. Mahdi faced 2 separate murder trials, one in South Carolina and another in North Carolina. Each trial brought forth the gruesome details of his crimes. In August 2004, Mahdi was indicted on multiple charges related to the murder of James Edward Myers. The prosecution sought the death penalty, arguing that his crimes warranted the ultimate punishment. Initially, Mahdi pleaded not guilty, attempting to deny his involvement in the murder. However, his facade began to crumble as the trial progressed. During the trial, Mahdi was found in possession of a handcuff key, raising concerns about a potential escape attempt. This incident further solidified his image as a dangerous and unpredictable individual. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Mahdi pleaded guilty during the trial in November 2006. He could no longer deny the horrific acts he had committed. On December 8, 2006, he was sentenced to death for the murder of James Edward Myers. Justice Newman delivered a powerful statement during the sentencing, condemning Mahdi's actions. In addition to the death sentence, Mahdi received additional sentences for burglary and larceny. These sentences reflected the full scope of his criminal behavior. After the South Carolina trial, Mahdi was extradited to North Carolina to face charges for the murder of Christopher Boggs. He would once again be held accountable for his violent actions. In December 2011, he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in the Boggs case. He was sentenced to life without parole, ensuring he would never be free to harm others again. Following the North Carolina trial, Mahdi was returned to South Carolina to continue his death row sentence. He would await his ultimate fate, a consequence of his own choices. Understanding Mahdi's background provides context, though it does not excuse his actions. His troubled upbringing offers a glimpse into the factors that may have contributed to his violent tendencies. Born in Virginia, Mahdi spent his formative years in Lawrenceville. His early life was marked by instability and disruption. Mahdi's father's family was dysfunctional, plagued by legal issues. This created a chaotic environment for the young Mahdi. His parents divorced in 1986, further disrupting his family life. In 1991, he was sent to live with relatives, adding to his sense of displacement. He exhibited behavioral problems in school, eventually dropping out in the 3rd grade. His lack of education would further limit his opportunities. Despite these challenges, he later obtained a GED and attended community college by the age of 21. This suggests a potential for change that was ultimately overshadowed by his criminal behavior. In 1992, Mahdi was involuntarily admitted to a psychiatric facility. This indicates underlying mental health issues that may have contributed to his instability. He had prior convictions for grand larceny and breaking and entering. These early crimes foreshadowed his escalating violence. In 2001, he was convicted of assaulting a police officer, demonstrating his disregard for authority. He was released from prison in May 2004, just months before his deadly crime spree. Even behind bars, Mahdi continued to exhibit violent behavior. This incident further solidified his reputation as a dangerous and unpredictable inmate. On December 2, 2009, Mahdi and another inmate, Quincy Allen, attacked a correctional officer. The attack was premeditated and brutal. They used makeshift knives fashioned from air ducts, demonstrating their resourcefulness and determination to inflict harm. The weapons were crude but effective. The attack was part of an attempted escape, highlighting their desperation to regain freedom. However, their efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Charges related to the stabbing were eventually dropped due to their existing death sentences. The legal system deemed further punishment unnecessary. Mahdi's legal team pursued numerous appeals, attempting to overturn his conviction and death sentence. These appeals were ultimately unsuccessful. The South Carolina Supreme Court dismissed his appeal in 2009. Chief Justice Toll issued a concurring opinion, affirming the validity of the original sentence. His federal appeals were also rejected, including a denial by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2017. The U.S. District Court dismissed appeals in 2017 and 2018. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected his appeal in 2021, exhausting his federal legal options. The courts consistently upheld his conviction and death sentence. Mahdi joined a lawsuit challenging South Carolina's execution policies. This legal challenge focused on the methods of execution used by the state. He argued that the firing squad and electric chair were unconstitutional and cruel. He sought to prevent the state from using these methods. A moratorium on executions was in place due to a lack of lethal injection drugs. This temporarily halted all executions in the state. The South Carolina Supreme Court dismissed the lawsuit in July 2024. This cleared the way for executions to resume. The moratorium ended with the execution of Freddie Owens in September 2024. This marked the resumption of capital punishment in South Carolina. Mahdi's execution was scheduled as part of a series of court orders. He faced the reality of his impending death. A court order was issued for 6 executions, including that of Mikal Deen Mahdi. The state prepared to carry out these sentences. Mahdi's name was on the list, bringing him one step closer to his ultimate fate. The legal process had run its course. The executions of Owens and Moore took place in 2024, setting a precedent for the remaining cases. The state demonstrated its commitment to carrying out the death penalty. A temporary respite was granted until January 3, 2025, providing a brief delay. This offered a glimmer of hope, however fleeting. The executions of Bowman and Sigmund took place in early 2025, further reducing the number of inmates on death row. The pace of executions quickened. A death warrant was signed on March 14, 2025, scheduling Mahdi's execution for April 11, 2025. The date was set and the countdown began. Mahdi was given the choice of execution method, a grim formality. He could choose between lethal injection, the electric chair, or the firing squad. Stephen Bixby granted a stay for a mental competency hearing, raising questions about Mahdi's mental state. This stay temporarily halted the execution, pending further evaluation. The case of Mikal Deen Mahdi serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of violence and the complexities of the criminal justice system. His story is a chilling chronicle of crime and punishment. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth true crime investigations. Share this video with others who are interested in understanding the complexities of criminal behavior. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on this case and suggest other cases you'd like us to cover. Your support helps us continue to bring you these important stories.